Welcome, declutterers out there, to another episode of Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff. It's my pleasure to have you join us for another conversation that we hope sparks a possibility for you in your life. Now is the time to get clear about life on the road ahead, because life can be filled with possibilities that are beyond what we even ever imagined. Here we talk with experts, authors, authorities, geeks, and everyday people about subjects that many of us would prefer to sweep under the carpet, put off another day, or forever. Instead, we bring these subjects to the light of day, provide resources to help you get in action and get things done. The point is to invigorate your life so you leave a legacy and not a mess. Today, we're going to talk with Dr. Basha Jordan, who hails from West Virginia, but now he lives practically down the street from me in St. Petersburg, Florida. He's an ordained minister with the United Methodist Church, founder of Hope Alive Outreach, a radio personality, and the author of the book, The Pipe and the Pulpit. His book tells the story of his recovery from addiction to cocaine and alcohol from the age of 11 for the next 30 years. We're thrilled for him to be here to inform us about the perils of addiction and to inspire recovery for all. Welcome, Dr. Jordan.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your path of recovery so that we can then jump into the conversation about, how everybody can clean up their acts and drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and any other kind of an addiction that you think is cushioning you from the perils of life to really having a life that you're in touch with yourself and others?
Well, in order to get to my life of recovery, there's a prerequisite. Before recovery, there is an active addiction. And my active addiction began with cigarettes. At the age of 11, my father, who was also a Methodist preacher, smoked cigarettes, and he would leave cigarettes around the house. He would take a carton of cigarettes, and before he opened the carton of cigarettes, he would take one of his homemade butcher knives and cut the whole carton in half. And so rather than to have 10 packs of cigarettes, he would have 20. Yeah. And he had a cigarette holder that he would take this half a cigarette and put it in the cigarette holder, and he would keep those cigarettes in a very neat pack, silver pack that he kept in his pocket. And once he put that half a cigarette in that cigarette holder, which was about 3 inches long, and with the cigarette, the half a cigarette in it, it made it about 4.5 inches long. And I became mesmerized with that as a child coming up.
You started smoking cigarettes at the age of 11?
Of 11, I was stealing my father. My father would leave these half a pack of cigarettes, basically in his room, or on his desk, or side table, and I would sneak in there and get one or two of them, go in the bathroom, close the door, lean out the window, light the cigarette, and smoke it as he did. So that went on for a number of years until I went to I think I was in college, and I started smoking cigarettes myself. Cool's cigarettes were came out, and I wanted to be cool, so I purchased.
Didn't everybody?
Right. But anyhow, to fast forward my life, let me back up a little bit. At the age of 13, one Sunday morning, my father was preaching in church because we're from Baltimore, and he had a large United Methodist church in Baltimore, and I took it upon myself to walk outside of the church during morning worship service, and we lived next door to the church in the parsonage. Everybody in the neighborhood knew my dad and knew our family, So when I came out of church during the morning worship service, uh, right across the street, there were like 3 or 4 men, young men, sitting on the steps. One of them was um, the neighborhood, I would say he was the neighborhood gangster, the neighborhood bully. And he was probably about 6'3", about 250 pounds. And he hollered at me. He said, "Hey, preacher boy, come here." And so I walked over to them with
When
my
somebody that size tells you to come here, you listen, right?
that's right. I'm 13 years of age. Got on my Sunday go to meeting suit, my white shirt and tie, and I walked over there, and he had a bottle of Thunderbird. Thunderbird is a cheap wine. He poured me about a half a glass of that Thunderbird, and then he poured some orange juice on top of that, and he gave it to me. He said, "Here, preacher boy, drink this." And I proceeded to drink that. And that was my first encounter with alcohol. I figured it's about time for me to get back in church. I don't actually remember the effect of it, but all I know is that I began to drink more often when I got into college. I went to Morgan State University in well, it's Morgan State University, but it was Morgan State College at that time. That was in 1965 when I went into uh, to college, and the the college campus, when you're away from home, away from parents, away from that guidance, away from that discipline, we can become distracted.
And when you were also part of the revolution generation, that's
Yes,
when all the hippies were coming out and drinking and drugging, and
that's right. That's right.
so the
Uh,
age of
the Bush,
revolution.
the age of the big Bush, and um, the how can I say it? There was a lot of
Kick the
race.
establishment.
Pardon me.
To kick the establishment.
Yes, and so marijuana was very um, popular at that time, and I had heard about marijuana, and I went to a party one night at this. It was some type of banquet hall, and I went to the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, I'm at the urinal when these two fellas walked in and locked the door. And when they locked the door, I looked around to see what they were doing over at the sink, and they were rolling up a joint. And so when I came from the urinal, went over to wash my hands. After I washed my hands, they passed me the joint, and I did what they did. I didn't say no, didn't say yes. I just took the joint, took a puff or two off of it, and as we say in our field of addiction, I was off to the races.
Off to the races. When did you?
Yeah,
So, did you start? Would you say like with drugs and alcohol, full tilt boogie in college? Is that when it all began? Like,
that's when it really began. Yes, and joining the fraternities and sororities have a lot of social activities, a lot of power, a lot of influence, a lot of stigma, and at the parties there would be um, spiked punch and things going on in the back room and in the backyard, and so um, drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana was something that was um, an everyday thing.
at
Even
what moment did you know? Did you think this was a part of um, integrating drugs and alcohol into your everyday life, and you went about your everyday life, or is there a point at which you um, realized that you're addicted?
well, let me put it like this: I started smoking cigarettes at the age of 11, and uh, at the age of 41. I had my wife orchestrated an intervention in my life. It was Friday, October the 13th, 1988, exactly 30 years after I, I began smoking cigarettes. And so from the age of 11 to the age of 41, I was caught up into my addiction, but my addiction really took off when I was appointed back to Baltimore. I never wanted to pastor a church in Baltimore because I had grown up in Baltimore, and that's where I had done a whole lot of things that I wasn't too proud of. And so when I was appointed to a church in Baltimore, um, where I knew people, knew the terrain, and started smoking cocaine, using heroin, um, and then I was I was married. I was married for 7 years before my wife realized I was using drugs. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
So it was kind of
I
a
had stat.
clandestine move. So you're able to go to the university and go to get your theological studies, and you're able to get married, and you're able to do a regular life, but all the while you're drinking and drugging and smoking, and it's all undercover.
That's correct. That's
How did
correct.
you manage to keep it hidden? And
It
do
was
you
extreme.
think
It was
many people do keep these vices hidden?
well, in order for me to hold down my position in the community, in the church, I had to be extremely cautious about where I went, what I did. Um, but it was only by the grace of God that I was still alive. So at the end of my journey, I would say I had to be at least around 39 when I really had it bad, and I began to pray and ask God for deliverance. And so drugs, I don't care whoever is listening to this, if you think that just because you you have a car and you can pay your mortgage and you can still function on your job, and if you think that you're not an alcoholic or you're not a drug addict, there's
Or
one.
even addicted to cigarettes?
Pardon me.
Or even addicted to cigarettes?
Cigarettes, yeah. uh, there is one thing that you can do, and you can ask yourself, is my life unmanageable because I am drinking, I'm drugging, I'm smoking cigarettes, I'm having sex out of wedlock, or maybe you might be single and having sex every day, every other day. Uh, Maybe you're gambling, you're spending your money. Uh, is my life unmanageable because of what I'm doing? Because we
Did
do have
you
what is
know
known.
it was unmanageable until you had the intervention, or did you think this is what you had become used to, and that everything was copacetic until the intervention? Did you think everything was okay until everybody around you said, "Oops, nope, you got to stop
No,
this"?
no. I knew my life was unmanageable, but because of my position. I mean, after all, um, I had an earned BA degree. I had an earned master's degree from one of the most prestigious seminaries in the country, Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington D.C., where there were only at that time there were only 12% African Americans there. Took me 3.5 years to get out of there, and then I got an earned doctorate degree from Drew University in Madison, New Jersey. Uh, but after I finished all of that academic, um, all of those academics, um, and began to make money, began to receive a salary. One of the things that was said, that has been said, when cocaine first came out, because cocaine was more expensive than marijuana. Cocaine was more expensive than heroin, and cocaine was supposedly designed for the upper class people. And so it was said that anyone who did cocaine just had too much money.
Yeah.
Um, so so the individuals that I was getting high with were individuals who were putting others in jail for doing the same thing. Judges,
Oh
school
well.
teachers, lawyers, um, other pastors. Um,
So
so
you can have all appearances of having this upright life, and really there's kind of an undercover part of it. Does it require somebody from the outside coming in to do an intervention, or is there something somebody could do to grab themselves by the bootstraps and pull themselves up and get the help? Because I assume it does. You can't do it alone. Is that what you would say? And is it up to somebody else to help you see your own problem, or can it be self-generated?
that is uh, most individuals that I know who are in recovery or in sobriety, and there is a difference technically. Those who are sober are individuals who are recovering alcoholics.
Tell
Those
me,
who are
tell me the
those who,
difference.
pardon me,
Tell me the difference
those
between recovery
those
and
in
sobriety.
sobriety. To be sober means you're not drinking, but to be in sobriety means that you not only are not drinking, but you're working a program.
You need to be in recovery.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We can, even
So
though,
sobriety is
even
when you're not drinking or doing drugs, but
te-
recovery is when you're in a program to put that in the past and drawing a line of demarcation between before and after the drinking and drugging. Is that right?
technically, technically speaking, there is a separation between Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous.
Uh-huh.
And technically speaking, when you are in when you are in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, you do not talk about sobriety. And when you are in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, you do not talk about recovery.
Oh, I see.
However, the basic textbook, uh, the basic textbook of Narcotics Anonymous says, wait a minute, says alcohol is a drug. Uh, this is the basic textbook of Narcotics Anonymous. It's got NA on it. Um, uh, this is the basic textbook of AA, and you can only tell it because it's well, both of the books are blue, but they both. I'm going to use the word minister or educated individual to let them know that alcohol is a drug, but the information for addicts and alcoholics for their deliverance is the same. And the same means that both of them are 12-step programs. And for instance, the first step in Alcoholics Anonymous says we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. The first step in Narcotics Anonymous says we admitted we were powerless over our addiction and our lives had become unmanageable. So the 12 steps are all basically the same. When you go to Overeaters Anonymous, it'll say we admitted we were powerless over food. When you go to Cocaine Anonymous, it said we admitted we were powerless over cocaine and our lives became unmanageable. for for for
But is
cigarettes.
it always somebody else? Is it always somebody else who brings you there, or can it be? Do you tumble into a meeting? Where do you draw the line? How do you draw the line? How do you get somebody else to draw the line?
We have in 12-step programs, we have what is known as service work. Service work is when you carry the message, no matter what your addiction is. Your addiction could be uh, technically drugs. Let's say you're addicted to marijuana, you're addicted to cocaine. In Narcotics Anonymous, we have what is known as service organization or giving service, which is in that 12th step. The 12th step says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry the message to addicts and practice these principles in all our affairs. And so, therefore, there will be one or two individuals who will go into a penitentiary. They will go into a jail. They will go into a treatment center and share the message of hope.
Yeah, but what if you're my next door neighbor and we live in a 55 plus community together, and I go to the bar every night, and I drink alcohol every night. How about that person? Not somebody who's been incarcerated, not something as extreme as that, but somebody that's still blending into everyday society. Do they recognize for themselves, or does somebody have to kind of pluck them out and say it's time for a change? I know I've had friends who, I've said to them, "You're drinking too much," and finally, there was nothing I did other than to say that, but they did something about it. Or you're smoking. Time to stop. I've been telling a neighbor of mine he's gonna, smoke himself to death, which he probably will if he doesn't do something about getting into some kind of a program to disattach himself from that compulsion.
Let
So,
me let me say this. I don't believe that God will allow anyone to go through addiction and not be aware of their addiction before they die. I believe that God will send someone to
okay,
say, hey, you're drinking too much. Or that person will get an unsolicited message on Facebook, or that individual will hear a uh, um, an ad on a radio, see an ad on television, hear a message of hope through the radio and an announcement. They they will have a friend who is where they used to be. Excuse me.
I see. So the idea is to um,
Or
listen
they might,
for
or they
those
might,
around you to give you the message that you need to hear.
or they will be pulled over and get a DUI. They will go to court, and the judge will mandate them to going to a meeting and having to get their sheets, their papers signed, or the person will go will have a heart attack. They will have a stroke.
Yeah,
They will pass out. They will OD,
one way or the other, life is going to clobber you over the head.
and you
Great.
will find out that there's something wrong. Now, just because you have a headache doesn't mean you're going to take an aspirin. And just because you fall down the steps and break your toe does not mean you're going to go to the doctor. Just because you have a toothache doesn't mean that you're going to go to the dentist. But that doesn't mean just because you don't go to the dentist that you don't know that you got a problem with your teeth.
So then
Anybody,
we,
any
we we don't have that much longer to talk. So then, what is your best advice to people who know they're struggling with drugs or alcohol or cigarettes? Um, and uh, where should they go for help?
they can call me. They can call me, and the reason why I'm saying that is because that's what I do. God, I couldn't understand why God brought me through
It
30 years.
doesn't matter where they are in the country if they're hearing this.
Doesn't make
Uh,
any difference.
doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't make any,
So,
the same way they've got dope and alcohol and liquor stores all over the country. Is the same way they got treatment centers, detoxes all over the country. And I know where to tell people where to go and how to get some help. There's only one problem.
what's the best thing since you've been through this, Dr. Jordan? What is the best thing about being sober that you can impart to people?
It's an altogether different life. God gives us altogether different life. Let me give my phone number. It's 443-250-9635. You can go on the World Wide Web. You can look me up at hopealiveoutreach.org. And the reason why I give that information is because we save lives. And let me say this, the main thing that keeps people from getting help, who know that they need help, especially when they are professionals, is their pride.
Yeah.
That's that is the main blockage. You have to
So
put your pride.
can you give your telephone number again, please?
My telephone number is 443-250-9635. You can call me anytime, before 9 o'clock at night and after 9 o'clock in the morning. And you can go to our website,
Okay, we're gonna
www.hopealiveoutreach.org. I've been
okay, I'm
sober,
gonna
been in recovery for 37 years. I practice this on a regular basis. I sponsor people. I travel the country speaking about this. So I know what I'm talking about the same way I knew when I was high, what I got high off.
and you'll have a friend in Dr. Jordan. So I'm going to wrap things up for today, Dr. Jordan. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and the possibilities for anyone listening who needs help or knows of someone who needs help to give up the drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes. Dr. Jordan's book, called The Pipe and the Pulpit, recounts his own story of recovery and can be found on Amazon.com, takealot.com, and Drake University online bookstore. If you want to read more about Dr. Johnson or be in touch with him, you can do so by visiting hopealiveoutreach.org. While
And
you're in the
if they want me to sign it, they can go to my website and get the book, and I'll sign it for them.
Okay, that's great. Why not? And you, moreover, will have somebody who's going to take you through the steps to see the other side of life beyond all those addictions. While you're in the mood for books, why not grab yourself, your family, and your friends a copy of my book, which is Decluttering 55 Plus, Make Room for What Matters. You can hop on over to Amazon.com and get a copy for yourself, or go to layitflat.com. Actually, the name of that book is Wisdoms to Create a Legacy, Not a Mess. The next book is coming out soon. It's a spiral book of 29 illustrated messages. You can turn it to any page for inspiration to get in action and get things done. It's my objective and the purpose of this podcast interviews to ignite conversations and provide resources to compel folks to help make space for more, not less, in your life. Furthermore, go to my website, decluttering55plus.com, sign up on the Let's Connect button, and we'll notify you of upcoming podcasts and other news you can use from Decluttering 55 Plus. Please help us build this community by liking and following us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and of course, subscribe on YouTube. We want to thank you again for being here today, Dr. Jordan, and all of you out there. We look forward to having you continue to join us each week. In the meantime, be sure to have a clutter-free day. Thank you. Thank you very much.